Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so switching gears. I've been talking about some other stuff right now, but I want to talk about the Lakers because we got some problems, man. Anthony Davis is out for about a week. He will be evaluated in a week, and if they don't like what they see, they'll probably give him another week and kick that can down the road, likely past the All-Star break. I don't want to predict what they're going to do. I just understand the choices that they have. As far as me thinking what they're going to do, it depends on how his body heals to the injury. If he goes to sleep, feels great tomorrow morning, and he'll be back on the Warrior game. If this thing doesn't heal properly, then he'll be back after the All-Star break at some point. That's the good thing about when this injury took place, is that we're about 6 games or something like that away from the All-Star break. So that's what makes this okay, I guess you could say. Even though we got a cluster of games that we have to play in a short amount of time that could send us plummeting down the damn standings if we lose these games. At the end of the day, there's still a lot of games for us for which to kind of climb our way back in, if that happens. So that's the latest. That's what's going on, man. Anthony Davis strained abdominal muscle. I think the MRI kind of debunks my theory, I believe. And that's exactly how I'll word it. My theory is he's faking this injury. He's faking this injury. That's my theory. Like, this ain't a real injury at all. He came out on Monday and told everybody, I need a center. Played on Tuesday and put up one of the greatest lines he's ever played. Gets hurt Wednesday in an injury that nobody actually sees him get. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's exactly how that went. He got hurt in an injury that nobody saw him get. Actually, I'm not really sure if I got the days right. Is today Wednesday? I don't really know. Point is, that's the sequence. I need a center, play a game, 42 and 23, play the next game, 10 minutes of that game, and nobody sees him get this injury. When did someone hit you in the ab? When did you turn a certain way in the ab? Let me know, somebody, if you saw when he took this injury on, because I didn't see it. I just know that he ended up with the injury. And in listening to Jovan Buha, the way he described it was, he didn't see it either. He walked over to JJ Redick. JJ Redick whispers something in his ear, and all of a sudden he grabs his side and he goes to the locker room. What did JJ tell the man? Now's the time you hurt the injury. This is the time when we gonna do this? I'd imagine this is when he said, yo, fake the injury now. Because I think they're putting pressure on Rob Pelinka to make a center move. And the whole team is in lockstep with this because they all want to get better, and they know it's probably not in the Lakers' best interest to give up the assets to get the center. If the center's going to cost a first-round pick or 2, what would be the thing that ultimately forces the Lakers to do that? Well, I can tell you, if you're trying to mess with the psychology of a guy like Rob Pelinka, you have Anthony Davis play his best game and then show him what it looks like when Anthony Davis ain't on the floor for an extended amount of time. Now, all of a sudden, if you're Rob Pelinka, you're like, damn, this dude just played what? And Charlotte went for 43, 42, and 23. And now, all of a sudden, he's in a position to not be on the floor for me, and my team is exposed for as bad as it is. My team sucks right now. We don't have a good roster right now. Just with the removal of Anthony Davis. And what? Was it just 48 hours before that Anthony Davis made a demand, got on TV with someone, and sat down and essentially put pressure on me to make a move? And this is what ends up happening? I'll tell you like this. Anthony Davis couldn't have drawn this up any better. Put it like that. If he didn't think of the injury, it sure worked out this way. And when they asked LeBron James if he thinks Anthony Davis is going to be fine, he said, yeah, that was a tea leaf for me. I'm like, oh, these dudes are faking this. The whole team's in on it. Everybody's in on it. Because they wanted to be able to make a move for a center. But they know they can't justify that based on the price tag of that center. They're going to have to likely overpay for somebody. So this creates the environment for which it makes an excuse for them to overpay. So when they look forward in the future and realize they've given away first-round picks for some whack-ass center, they can say, well, we needed to because Anthony Davis went down. And to save our season, we could justify giving away all this and that. That's my theory. But I guess the EMRI debunks all that. I guess. And that's my point of view. I'm not really sure this injury is actually a thing. I'm really not. Call me crazy. I think I'm the only person in there saying this, but I don't think they're faking this. I think they're faking the hell out of this. I think the whole team's faking this. I think everybody's in on it. Even Rob Pelinka may be in on it because he probably wants the excuse to be able to do more than what he should so that they can justify it as already described. When they look back on it and realize it was a bad decision, because it's a bad decision. Giving up first-round picks for Walker Kessler is a bad decision. Giving up first-round picks for any center in this market is probably not a great decision, depending on who the center is. If you're not bringing me back someone of Joel Embiid's caliber, giving up first-round picks for a center doesn't make much sense. And Danny Ainge, for the center that we want, is asking for way too much. And that whole situation with the guy in Pacerland, Miles Turner, from what I understand, that probably wasn't what it seemed. Some people were probably trying to shake him loose and put that rumor out there that he wants $30 million or something of that nature. When actually he probably ain't even trying to do all that. It never made any sense from his point of view to let his team know that he wants that money right before the trade deadline. All they can do in that situation is make a decision, either trade him or pay him. And so if he's only wants to be in Pacerland, which he's only been in one team his whole career, this is the wrong way to play it, because he can keep all the cards on his side of the deck by just simply withholding the information that he wants to pay raise and leaving himself open to be assumed to be re-signing with the Pacers. Then you don't have to worry about being traded. So to me, that seemed a little off anyway. It seemed counterproductive for his side of things. And it turns out that probably what didn't happen on his side of things. You know, nobody played it bad. No, that's not what it was. And so we're in the trade season. You got media people making up stuff and creating smoke where there's really no fire. It may just be mist, you know what I mean? It may just be warm water on, hot water on or something. They try to make it look like it's fire. That's kind of what it is. And I heard somebody, and I was listening to one of my favorite people to listen to. I think he calls his content running back. I think that's what he calls it, Philadelphia dude. He was essentially calling out J.A. Adonde and his co-host for putting out the notion that the Philadelphia 76ers and the Miami Heat may be willing to make a deal for Jimmy Butler and Paul George straight up. That don't make a whole lot of sense for Miami at all. Makes a lot of sense for Philly so they can get off that Paul George contract, but they just signed him to it. So, and they told him they wasn't going to trade him. So it's like, that didn't seem realistic. It seemed like something somebody made up. And so that's why we're on this channel kind of not really believing a whole lot of what we're hearing right now when it comes to certain big name trades. But you know, the point is that that's the time we're in. People are making stuff up. People are trying to make it seem like it's about to be a big trade deadline. And I told y'all, I am poised for a nothing burger come trade deadline. Absolutely nothing. When I say nothing, 2 scrubs get traded for 2 second-round picks type stuff. Like nothing, yo. Why? Because the market is hesitant based on the collective bargaining agreement creating problems and restrictions and roadblocks where otherwise there wouldn't be for transactions. Yeah, you might have 2 teams that are willing to make a move, but once they start trying to make a move and they start seeing how hard it is to actually do certain things, it's not as simple as, okay, I'm trading with this guy, we get that guy and we're gonna move. It's not like that anymore. Now there's certain restrictions in place that are kind of just there just to keep you from being able to make moves. So you got to be able to get around that. And I just think that come trade deadline, if you're looking at stuff that you're just now seeing pop up, you may desire to make the move, but the transaction probably won't be met in time based on the restrictions that could ultimately be in place. So unless they're working on these moves right now, when it comes to that final deadline and they're trying to figure out if something's legal to do, they're going to have more restrictions in those last minute situations than they ever would have had. That's what the collective bargaining agreement has created for them right now. So it's like when you expecting something to happen last minute, I don't see how they're going to be able to work it out unless they've been working on it for a month or two. Unless it's some minor deal. So it's like I'm telling people, man, I don't think teams are going to be doing too much. I think a lot of these talking heads want you to think it's a lot about to be going on, so you'll watch their content. But when they have nothing to talk about, they're going to have a lot of mad people. And I don't think it's going to be a lot to talk about. Now, you could see a Jimmy Butler move. I think that's real because of how sour that went. And Jimmy then went and got himself suspended a third time. It's hard to even keep up. I didn't even make a video on the last one. I'm like, why? I know what they're trying to do. Both sides are essentially trying to sour the well so that they make it easier to move. But the Miami Heat are cutting off their nose to spite their own face, in my opinion. Because the more you keep on suspending this brother for the actions that he's engaging in simply because he's unhappy, the less likely you're going to get a price that for him that makes any sense. What you need to do is try to hide the fact that he's acting a damn fool and keep the price tag in the space from which you can work with. But they too arrogant and egotistical over there, so they keep suspending this guy when literally all he's doing is saying, yo, you're not paying me. I'm going to make life hell for you until you move me because of it. And so the only way the organization should actually be playing, in my opinion, is to snuff out all of the smoke that he's trying to strum up by stomping in the sand. Like, don't allow it. Don't allow it. Nah, he ain't doing nothing. Jimmy's fine. That's the only thing I'd be saying if I was Pat Riley. I'm not doing this dance with him. Ruining my trade value for this kid. Nah. He's going through some personal things right now, but rest assured, we believe in Jimmy Butler. That's the only thing I'm saying. Jimmy's gotten us to 2 NBA Finals. We love him here. We're going through a difficult time. He's going through a difficult time. But I promise you, Jimmy Butler will be ready to play for the Miami Heat when everything shakes out. That's all I'm saying. If I'm Pat Riley, I'm not suspending him for none of this crap he's doing. And if I am, I'm not telling anybody. You feel me? You ain't gonna know that. Because that didn't work in my favor when it's time to trade him. But they egotistical over there, man. They about the standards of their culture. You don't disrespect our culture and all that different stuff. It does nothing for the trade value of the players that they hold, man. And you ain't gonna strum up this. You're gonna be what I want you to be. Okay, and you're gonna be stuck taking back scraps for your best player. I don't think Miami's playing it smart at all. Jimmy's essentially putting on a fat suit like James Harden. That's what he's doing. He's not actually unhappy. He just wants his money. And they're not gonna pay him. That's all it is. If they agree to pay Jimmy Butler whatever the hell he wants, that's above $53 million, so he don't have to opt into the last contract he don't get at that price, and they have to take a big, steep $40 million drop or whatever it's going to be coming next contract. You give him a 2-year deal, $60 million a year, all of a sudden he's happy again. Because that's all it's about. It's literally all it's about. He's unhappy because they're not paying him. And I got my thoughts about that. But at the end of the day, this is what he's doing. So that deal probably gets done. Moral of the story is that deal probably gets done. If you look at De'Aaron Fox, that situation's interesting, but I just don't think there's any pressure on the Sacramento Kings to do anything right now because he's not a free agent at the end of this year. He's a free agent at the end of next year. I think it's a chance they don't want to wait until the trade deadline next year to trade him. Maybe they trade him in the offseason if they decide to make a move at all. Or maybe they say, hey, man, we're a long way away from him being a free agent. He may think he know what he wants right now. A lot can happen in the next 24 months. It's been a million things that change in 24 months. You just know what you want, and you know where you're going, yeah. He's trying to force his way to San Antonio, from what I understand. Problem is, he ain't a free agent for another 2 years. Now, is it a safe assumption that Wemby's going to be a superstar 2 years from now? Hell yeah. Is it a safe assumption he's going to be in San Antonio 2 years from now? Hell yeah. They're not going to trade him. So from that standpoint, I can see where that still be on par 2 years from now. But things do occur. Things do occur, friend. I'm not wishing nothing ill on San Antonio, but things can, life, anything can happen. And so if you're Sacramento and you move on from him because you're afraid you're going to lose him 24 months from now, that just doesn't make sense unless you're getting a return that really makes you happy. Not to mention that it throws their whole timeline into disarray because now they got to figure out if they want to try to sell off everything else or try to trade De'Aaron Fox for win-now stuff. And in the event they trade him for win-now stuff, Is it going to be anything that they really like that keeps them in contention? Is it going to be stuff that makes Sabonis happy, Monk happy, DeRozan happy? Or would it be best for them to trade all of these people? And if they're going to trade all these people, and based on what it is we just described in regards to how hard it is to make trades, they may not be able to sell off everything at once, even if everybody wants to do so. Tear down ain't as simple because it's harder to make trades to get good returns. So I start plotting on how to get him to San Antonio with the intention of moving him in the offseason. If I'm Sacramento, I give him one last hurrah. After they fired Mike Brown, they went on like a 7-game winning streak, so clearly they're not a horrible team. Something like that happened. And, you know, I think this season is worth playing out if you're Sacramento. Play it out. Gives you nice enough time to plot out what you're going to do, find out what's realistic in terms of returns, find out if it makes sense for a win now turn or a later timeline return with a bunch of picks and stuff like that. And then you can kind of plot out what you want to do. Get Carter on the floor, see what he looks like, see if he's an adequate replacement for De'Aaron Fox. Because if he's excellent, then you don't have to really do too much. You could just go forward with him, put him in the Fox spot. So, you know, it's a lot of things they can try to figure out. And with him being hurt, they don't really know what they have in that player. He might be that dude. So who knows? Like, that's what it really comes down to. If I'm Sacramento, I will talk to San Antonio. I will set a price tag for De'Aaron Fox. And if they want to meet it, I'll probably just go ahead and make the trade now. Just because the what I set came my way. But if San Antonio wants to play a little hardball, or if they want to keep certain things out of the deal because they think they have leverage, we'll just wait this out to the offseason. I don't think either team is going to die if they don't get De'Aaron Fox on San Antonio right away. And I don't think San Antonio and Sacramento in the same spot, basically, beneath the play-in tournament. Probably be in their best interest, both teams, if they have their picks, to just kind of try to play the lottery, to be honest with you. But I think Sacramento might be a little too good to be realistic in a good lottery situation. I don't know if they have their pick. Maybe it's protected in some kind of way. So it's a lot of different things that I'm just not in the clear on in regards to what makes the most sense for these teams. But if they can walk out of here with a lottery pick, that's probably the way to go with the type of year this is for that. So, you know, San Antonio, same thing. They can add another high-level asset if they get lucky. Put that next to Wemby. Bringing in De'Aaron Fox means you're going to probably get out of that situation, probably play your way into the play-in tournament. I'm sure Wemby will be happy to win this year, but how much winning are you going to do? He ain't beating OKC in the first round, so he's probably just going in the first round if he makes the playoffs. So that's kind of what it is. It's a little difficult to really see Sacramento moving De'Aaron Fox right now, given the circumstances. They have such a good cushion of 2 years. So really it doesn't make much sense to have that urgency, in my opinion. Not a whole lot of sense. So I don't think a Fox move gets done. What else? You know, obviously with the Lakers injury situation, Anthony Davis, as I said, I think this effectively puts a certain pressure on the Lakers to make a move for the center position, whether it's organic or forced. The pressure is on. Do I think the Lakers are going to do that? If my theory is correct, I think they're probably going to try to do it. I think this gives them the way to do that. They're always looking for, you know, and this is just me speaking from my perspective on our organization, the Lakers. We always feel we need a justifiable reason to do the things that we do, or a scapegoat to blame somebody else for the things that go wrong. It's always something that needs to come with decisions because people made so many bad decisions and taking so much heat for it. So it's like I could totally see this organization faking an Anthony Davis injury to justify that. That makes sense to me based on how they've operated in other areas of things. That's how I see them. They're always looking for some reason so that they can say we did this because. And you know, I mean, I guess that's how they have to play it. I don't know if I agree with it. I don't think I do, but that's how they move, man, seems to me. So, yeah, I think the Lakers could be very well on the verge of giving away a good portion of their future so that they could get back a center. And in getting that center, understanding they're likely overpaying for that center. I don't love it, but it's what they got to do, man. Because at the end of the day, if you try to go forward with Anthony Davis being hurt and you don't get that backup that he asked for right before getting hurt, chances are your team's going to be bad. You're going to drop enough games to throw the season away if you don't fill that position in time to kind of stop the bleeding. And that player has to be pretty good if they're going to fill his position to a degree. So you got to give up 2 picks, in theory, to make it so that player is a certain caliber to keep the season alive. We've already made 1 trade for Dorian. That's a win now move. You could have potentially, in theory, if you're going to kick the season down the road, maybe go in a different direction, get yourself more higher upside young pieces in the trading away one of your best tradable assets in D'Angelo Russell. If you thought this season was a wash, you definitely wanted to trade D'Angelo Russell, but I'm not sure you bring yourself Dorian in theory. So they've already taken certain steps in the direction of trying to salvage this particular season. If they don't want this season to be lost, they're probably going to need to go ahead and fill that position. Because right now we're running Jackson Hayes, Christian Koloko. We just picked up Trey Jemison. None of those people are any good. I like Koloko personally. I'm having a great time with Koloko. I just don't think his upside is any good at all, man. I don't think so. I think he's a career backup who's extremely serviceable on the defensive end. But he doesn't have particularly good hands, doesn't have an offensive game, doesn't rebound particularly well. So it's like Jackson Hayes, y'all know I'm not big on Jackson Hayes. I think he's actually given us some good minutes lately, but that doesn't mean that he's been good enough for what we're doing. And Trey Jemison, he's a big guy, man. I don't know if he can really play ball, but he's not somebody you want to get in a brawl with. And that's about as much as I know of him. So it's like, we don't have an answer there at all. And if we run out there with that trio of centers for the duration of the time that Anthony Davis is expected to be out, we could potentially find ourselves out. Looking at how our roster looked without him yesterday against a depleted Philly team, we don't have the talent to maintain our 5th place spot without Anthony Davis. That talent is not there. The losses are basically imminent. It's not even a question. It's about how many games can you squeeze out. It's just like Dallas. As soon as Luka went down, you knew you were out. The question is could you win enough games while he's out to give yourself a puncher's chance of finding your way back into the playoff situation? So that's where the Lakers are at. You're basically in an imminent free fall. You're going to run into the Clippers. You're going to run into the Knicks. You're going to run into the Golden State Warriors. A lot of teams that you probably are not going to fare well against without Anthony Davis. The Pacers twice, the Utah Jazz, who have Walker Kessler, probably attack you the right way with the type of young talent that they have right now. Some of the guys that they got playing well right now. I don't think you're better than the Jazz without Anthony Davis. I really don't. They got too many talented young guys coming at you. You're not better than the Jazz without them. So that's what it comes down to. The Lakers are heavily reliant, and we said this right before Anthony got hurt. We are heavily reliant on our stars staying healthy in order for us to be a decent basketball team or good basketball team. Without our stars, we are a very bad basketball team. Well below average. Because of the guys that we be relying upon in that circumstance are going to get outclassed by teams that aren't any good, that just have more quality players than we actually have. And so that's what you're going to end up seeing. People like Isaiah Collier and Jonathan Kuminga and random players that are on different teams are going to make up a better roster than what you have without Anthony Davis. And that's just the reality of it. You got LeBron James and you got a bunch of guys, Austin Reeves. And after that, you just got role players, mostly that don't score. Rui Hachimura and whatever you can kind of get out of him. And he's not playing well, nor does he really fit on the roster. So it's like, and you add Vucevic, now you got LeBron James and Vucevic. You could at least go 500, a little more than 500, waiting for AD to come back. You get LeBron James, Walker Kessler, now he got a legitimate rim protector getting offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds. You know what I mean? So it's like, all you really need is a centerpiece like Anthony Davis to provide some rim protection. Your Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimuras and guys like that can do enough. They just can't do those things, and you need those things to win. So that's why the center position is so important for this roster, because we've done such a terrible job of giving ourselves adequate centers behind Anthony Davis. And so that's what it comes down to. We refused to invest in the center position. And when we did invest in that center position, we were getting players that were no good. And we keep replacing them with players or putting no good centers on top of those no good centers. It's like you can't effectively be who you need to be until you address that position with quality. And since the Lakers refuse to do that, now Anthony goes down, and you can see an opportunity where they're going to be running small ball against teams that you can't afford to do that against. With players that don't particularly play well in those situations. Free fall, baby. Getting outclassed every night. I honestly think the Lakers could have problems with the Wizards tomorrow, to be honest with you. Because now you're going up against the second overall pick in the draft, Alex Sarr. Let's hope he doesn't have a great game, you feel me? You got guys like Jordan Poole and Koulibaly. Like, you suddenly see teams that have, even though they like literally only have 6 wins, you go out there with Trey Jemison and who else we got out there right now? Gabe Vincent, if he comes back, he ain't even out there. You come out there with that type of talent against a young squad with a lot of young guys, you're going to see just like what you saw yesterday. With Edwards and Council running past you, it's going to be the same thing with the Washington Wizards. And they're going to get their first win in a month and a half against you. So, like, this is my concern. I just think we get outclassed by even the worst of teams because of the lowest of quality that ultimately we've allowed to hang in our rotation, leaning on our stars when now the stars are not healthy. So, that's pretty much what I got to say, man. Salute to Kobe. You made the pass about 2 minutes ago. My name is BDO44. Thank y'all for watching.